are going to come out and say, yeah, he tried to ram it down my throat and choke me to death one time. I had to grab his nards and squeeze him as hard as I could to get him to back away. You're going to get people like that.
Yeah,
if he had a predilection for sexual violence, then there would be.
Also, I mean, you think that his wife probably would have brought it up.
Yes, you think she would have?
I mean, after his death, she probably would have said, "Yeah, he was kind of horrible."
Yeah.
Because there's no fear of retribution at that point.
I am going to disagree with that.
Okay.
Because there are many examples of people who, after an unhappy relationship has ended tragically, and in this example, he's killed himself supposedly, even though he may have been a bit of a bastard, it was, I'm going to protect his legacy because suddenly that's the only thing I have to cling to, and I've convinced myself that that's the right thing to do. I mean,
well, sure, or if you've got kids, obviously.
Yeah, especially for people do that, especially for their children.
Yeah.
But again,
she may not have just turned around and said, "Oh yeah, he had this thing about my uvula." It doesn't.
I like that you keep going back to the uvula.
I like the uvula
Apparently
because I figured out what it was a couple years ago.
Like you mean a month ago?
You thought it was something down here, right?
No.
Yeah, no, it's up here.
It's a Far Side comic that I figured out what it was from. I've been reading Far Side a lot lately.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on.
Next suspect.
Next suspect. I actually think this
guy looks like a possibility.
This is my favorite suspect.
Yeah.
Favorite, as in,
so.
like, I like him for the crime, not I like him as a person, or think he has any redeeming qualities.
You don't want his trading card?
No.
Okay.
No. This is Harold Jones. Listeners who are into true crime may be familiar with Harold Jones, given that he was a convicted murderer at the age of 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and young.
Yeah. He is another one that could have an entire episode on him if this were true crime, not unsolved mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
Jones was convicted of rape and murder at 15. His victims were 8 and 11 years old.
Nice guy.
Yeah. And he served at, quote, His Majesty's pleasure, unquote, from 1921 till 1941 when he was released.
Oh, His Majesty's, because there was a king at the time. Got it.
Yeah. There's a bit of a thing here in that he confessed to his crimes like just before he turned 16, because it turns out in the 20s, the teens in England, if he had been 16 instead of 15 when he was convicted of the murders, he would have been hanged. Likely. Not 100. It's not 100%, but it's very likely that he would have been hanged instead of just spending 20 years in jail.
So a smart thing to do. But if I had been in a position of authority back then, I would have just quietly arranged to have his birth certificate modified.
Or just find a reason to put the trial off for a little while.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Sorry, we got a continuance.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? It's this thing I'm using to delay things. Shut up.
I'm making it up, but
that's
it's fine.
That's a really cool thing. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. So Jones lived until 1971, and so he was alive, and I believe living in London at the time of the stripper murders.
I heard believed that he was.
Yeah. There's not good records, really.
Apparently he had a wife and children. Mm-hmm. He did marry.
Yeah. So he was a really brutal child. He raped and murdered and strangled, actually. Raped and strangled 2 young girls. And granted, he was young at the time too, but 8 and 11 is still pretty young when you are 15.
I'd say so.
So yeah, I mean, the only problem the biggest problem I have with this is he's another one that, like, in 2007, somebody said, hey, I bet actually Harold Jones has something to do with those.
Yeah.
With the Jack the Stripper murders. I mean, it would be reasonable to me to assume that he could have easily been the person who did them.
But except no evidence, really.
There's not really evidence.
Have you ever seen any kind of physical descriptions or personality descriptions from him? What I found was very, very scant.
No, it's really vague.
Okay,
yeah.
Because I can... The reason that I ask that is if somebody does something that brutal at that young of an age, they would continue with brutal behavior, and I almost wonder if it's a situation where either he was falsely accused and convicted, or it wasn't also unheard of for people who had some, who is, let's say, developmentally delayed or stunted. He may be young. He may have been the same age mentally as these girls, and so he may or may not have been involved. And then he's an adult, so he's still a child as an adult, so he's not going to be prone to that same kind of behavior. I mean, this happens.
It does. That was not his case. He was, he lured these girls because he worked in a shop as a 15-year-old, and they were visiting the store, and he lured them away. I haven't read anything about, and I did actually read a fair amount about him because I have this huge morbid curiosity about stuff
see,
like
that's
this.
why I was asking about, because I didn't find a whole lot, but I kind of disregarded him just because of when he was brought up, and I was just suddenly curious about that. Okay, so that was what I'm going on was not the case at all. Okay.
So
onward and upwards.
This is Harold Jones.
Yep.
And this is Jack the
I remember his
Stripper.
picture.
But the drawing is like, you can't...
Well, I mean, can I see the picture of Harold Jones again?
It's a pencil drawing that is, I'm sorry, but any British guy
literally any
with
white dude could look like.
any jowly, cheeky feature at all.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say that at that point in time he was kind of nearing the end of his life. Because when was he born?
19. Well, he was 14 he was 15 in 1921. So
okay. So he would have been.
I think it was
old.
09.
Yeah, so I guess he still would have been young enough to overpower somebody and and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, since he wasn't brought up as a suspect until like 2007, that feels so much like this thing we see a lot that we try to cut through, where it's somebody saying like trying to make a big revelation.
I wrote a book.
Yeah, it's not only I made a book, but it's oh god, this guy lived in kind of the same area and was convicted of things that were kind of similar. So,
yeah, I know.
Oh my god, it could be him. It's probably him.
I saw somebody
So that's hard for me.
I saw somebody on Reddit claiming that several of the bodies were found within a couple of blocks of where he lived in London.
I have no idea how anyone would know that.
No, it's absolutely not true, because if you look at the maps of where the
bodies are
they're
all
not
over.
even found within a couple blocks of each other.
The two bodies that were closest to each other were found a mile and a half apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those were the closest ones.
Yeah.
And so, there's no way that more than one body was found a few blocks from his house.
Yeah. So that's all the suspects. I know there are some other suspects that I have willfully ignored.
Willfully denied.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about one if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, there was a detective superintendent named William Baldock who really didn't like DeRosa's theory about the security guard, Mongo. Yeah, his belief that it was a former London policeman who had committed the murders.
Yeah, I didn't like this theory very much.
Yeah, but let me just spell it out just a little bit why he liked it so much. So this guy, we're going to call him, what are we going to call him? Officer Jones. Let's call him that.
How about Jack? Officer Jack.
Officer Jack, okay. Officer Jack was a cop, but he was not that well liked by his coworkers. Apparently, a lot of them felt that they didn't really trust him. And he sort of, it turns out he wasn't that trustworthy, because eventually he got arrested for committing a series of burglaries. And he was eventually, of course, convicted, sentenced to a year. And, of course, he was booted off the police force in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Okay, he got out of prison after he served a year, got out in June 1963, took a job as a car salesman. And the reason Baldock started liking this guy is
because nobody trusts a car salesman?
Exactly, that's a good reason. This guy was a smooth talker. He was especially good with women. It's actually true. But Baldock was looking at a map, and he noticed that the bodies were being dumped in different police subdivisions in London. 5 out of the 6 bodies were dumped in subdivisions that Officer Jack had worked in. And there are many police subdivisions in London. Yeah. And so 5 out of the 6, and number 6, Irene Lockwood, was found on the bank of the Thames and may have actually been dumped in one where this guy used to work and drifted there from somewhere else. Anyway, so this guy, as I said, was sentenced to a year in prison at his trial. He said that he committed the crimes not so much because he wanted to steal, but because he liked the idea of doing something that his fellow cops would have to work on but would not be able to solve.
So he felt better than them.
Yeah, and just to frustrate them, because he felt like I guess he felt a little that he'd been mistreated or something like that, and so he thought he'd screw them, and so that's another reason why Baldock thought that this guy was a good fit for the murders. But again, that's just his theory, and there's no proof whatsoever.
Yeah.
And of course, he was never able to actually name this guy's name, as opposed to Mongo Irish, so we won't know who he is.
Yeah.
Ireland?
Yeah.
Not Irish.
Yeah.
Ireland.
Mongo Ireland. I mean, I apologize. But anyway,
He wasn't Irish.
I thought it was an interesting theory and at least worth mentioning, even though, that's about it.
Yeah, that's the frustration with this one, right? Is that I feel like we hit this point with a lot of these cases where we think,
London's a big town. There's a lot of people.
7,000. 1% of the population could have done it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I
Me.
know.
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know.
I'm sorry to tell everyone I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Nah, I don't either. Well,
Yeah.
we'll never know. I think it was some guy named Jack. That's all we know.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want to see some of the research that we've done, or listen to the episode, because apparently you don't know where to get it, or anything like that, if you want to leave a comment on this, you can do that on our website. The website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. If you're listening to us on iTunes, don't forget to leave a comment and a rating. That's how people find us. I'm feeling pretty good about those comments and ratings these days. You can stream us pretty much anywhere. It's kind of silly that we're still telling you how to find the show, because obviously you've made it through an episode, but sure. If your streaming service lets you do comments and ratings and all that stuff, just do that for us too. Thanks. You can find us on social media.
We're there a lot.
We have the Facebook group and page, so you can like us and follow us. Join the group. It's not follow us, it's join the group.
Yeah. Join the group.
Follow us on Twitter. It's
Yep.
Thinkin' Sideways. You can see some really awesome pictures of me if you want. You can find us on Reddit. We have a subreddit. It's our Thinking Sideways. It's not the Thinking Sideways Pod one. If you go there, you will be very sad. It's just like 4 random things. You can also get swag-like stuff if you want. That link is on our website on the left sidebar.
And we've been adding some new content to that.
Also on the
Finally.
left
We have new
sidebar
swag?
Yeah.
is a link to PayPal if you are so inclined to do a one-time donation, but also a link to Patreon if you are inclined to make a reoccurring donation. That's per episode. So maybe, if you want to, I'm not going to tell you don't donate $50 per episode, but
Please pay
take that
attention
into
to your personal
consideration.
budget needs.
Yeah, because we don't want to make you feel like you're paying us a lot of money. We
Yep.
appreciate every single cent that we get.
Absolutely.
Totally. We think
It
we're
does
going to
come
be
in
able
handy.
to afford that server upgrade just any minute now.
Yeah.
And then if you have feedback for us, if you have suggestions, if you're an expert, if you just want to tell us how much you love us, you can send us an email. The email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure that's all the business. Did I forget anything?
Nothing I can
We
think
good?
of.
No.
I'm not holding a list, though.
Yeah, well, I'm not either because I don't need it
I
anymore.
don't know. I saw you crumple it up. It's weird.
Yeah. All right, well,
List, Joe. Why did you write it?
I think it was her idea.
on that note, we're going to get out of here. So talk to you guys next week or maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Let's head down to the strip.
Okay, bye.
She's a Mary Chain and Black on XFM 104.9. It's 4:10 after the break. Oasis. Oasis, Married with Children.
Yeah.
XFM 104.9. It's the
course.
Ricky Gervais show. Who am I, Steve?
Gervais, you are Gervais.
Yeah.
You are Ricky Gervais.
Lucky you, yes, it's me, Ricky Gervais.
Gervais, weren't you out signing autographs in the week?
Yeah.
Is this true?
Yeah.
Is this true what I've heard?
A couple, yeah.
What's the story? Tell me.
Well, we did this roadshow from the Doc Martin store.
Roadshow.
Yeah.
Was it that impressive?
Yeah, me, Crowley and Pitts with like a CD player.
Yeah.
And some boots surrounding us. That was good fun.
And you played some records,
Yeah.
and people were coming up, weren't they, and asking for your autograph.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, you know, I'm a bit of a celebrity, Steve, I'll be honest.
If you were really rich, what would you spend your money on?
You know what I spend my money on?
Yeah.
Just more food and drink than I do now.
Yeah.
Maybe a few extra holidays.
How many people asked for autographs?
Oh, I don't know.
30,
20, yeah.
What about Crowley? Did anyone ask Crowley for an autograph?
No, they kept asking him if they got this in a size 7. He's getting really honest.
He does look a bit like a sort of spotty shop assissant. that you find,
yeah.
I'll just go and check with Maureen. Meantime, here's Idlewild.
I got a joke.
Have you?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We're allowed to tell one joke, aren't we?
One joke, because I don't want it to sound like Steve
it's
Pink
terrible.
or...
Nothing wrong with Steve Pink.
I love Pink.
Pink's good.
I'm a big fan of Pink.
That is great.
Don't get me started on Pink.
No,
if I start singing the praises of Pink, we'll be here all night.
I know.
But the point is, you've got a gag. Let's hear it.
A little boy, he's only 5 years old. He's lost in a busy high street, and he's crying his eyes out. Well, he would. He's lost his mummy. He's going, I lost my mummy. And a policeman comes up, and he goes, all right, what's the matter? He goes, I've lost my mummy. The policeman said, all right, don't worry, we'll find her. What's she like? The little kid said, cock and bingo, mainly. Instant repeater, 99, soundtrack of our lives on XFM 104.9.
Gervais, can I just give the listeners one very good reason why they should stay tuned? There are prizes up for grabs very soon. Another of your fantastic movie quizzes is on the way, Gervais.
Give me one reason why I should stay, though. After the break, Blur.
The stunning new single from Brain Mangle, Blood, Sweat and Cum. Blood, Sweat and Cum by Brain Mangle. Out now. The new single from Velvet Nazi 666 UK is like a rhino. The animals went 2 by 2. You like we're in the... I gotta like a rhino! Like a rhino from Velvet Nazi 666 UK. The UK is important.
Blur and Tracy Jackson, XFM 104.9. I really am a very good DJ.
Well, yeah, maybe. 01715802000. Do you agree with that statement? Is Ricky Gervais a very good DJ? Gervais, looking at the cover of the News of the World today.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. I mean, we all know. How are you coping? How are you getting through the days?
I'm in shock. I'm sort of pretending it hasn't happened. I'm playing a lot of the old records.
I know exactly that, yeah. The Spice Girls are on the brink of splitting up.
Yeah.
Jerry Halliwell has left the band, rumour has it. But even more worryingly, all right, apparently the reason Jerry left was that she was bullied out of the group by Scary Spice. Apparently Scary Spice, Mel B, is absolutely vicious. Lots of remarks about Jerry. Always sniping and going at her.
Well,
and,
this must
Jerry's
be
left.
particularly close to your heart, because you were bullied at school by a pop star, weren't you?
I was indeed.
Who was that?
Lionel Richie.
Really?
Yeah. It was a nightmare. The thing was, Lionel had just left the Commodores.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of pent-up nervous energy. Do you know what I mean? Which he used to take out on me.
Take out on you?
Me in
Because you looked gimp.
Yeah, it was just annoying.
What year was this?
That was 82.
Well, it must have worked, because he was about to have, like, big hit with Dancing on the Ceiling.
True enough.
He would hold on, he'd have been flying high before that with Hello.
Well, exactly that. You see, the thing was, he'd had a string of top 10 hits.
Yeah.
I was about 14.
Yeah.
I didn't have the chart credibility with which to fight back.
To fight back.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, often he would just be throwing my satchel in the tree, and singing, "Hello, is it me you're looking for?"
What chance did you have against that?
How could I cope with that? He's got a great singing voice. I haven't got sold.
That is terrible. That is terrible.
But you had a similar problem, didn't you? Were you not bullied by a band?
That was before. I'm older than you. I mean, this was like 20 years ago when I was a kid at school.
Really?
And I was bullied by a whole band.
You were bullied by a whole band?
Yeah.
Who?
Hanson.
Well, they're bastards.
With the news that Jerry Halliwell has left the Spice Girls, XFM has set up a helpline for distressed fans. If you need a shoulder to cry on, call Ricky Gervais on 0171 580 2000.
Hello? I know, Andy, yeah, I know. Okay. I know, yeah, it's terrible, but listen, I want you to think of all the good times she's given people. The records she was on still exist. They'll always be there. I can't believe it's going to be the end of her career. She's a very, very talented young lady. And of course, there's always the photos of her. There's photos on the internet. I'm not talking publicity, that's talking filth.
Yes.